5 minutes and to revise and extend my remarks, sir.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in defense of every child in this nation who deserves to enter into a classroom and be treated with dignity, care, and respect. In writing these remarks, I thought of my kindergarten teacher, Miss Jasko, at Claire Lilienthal Elementary School in San Francisco. On my first day of kindergarten, and I remember it very, very clearly, my last name starts with an S, and so I sat at the back of the classroom and I kept my head down. I was not vivacious then. Within about 5 minutes of the class starting, and there was a lot of chatter of little children, Miss Jasko noticed that my head was bowed, and she brought me up to the classroom board, and she saw clearly that I was a child with an acute visual impairment. She kissed me on my forehead and asked me to sit by her desk, where I sat for the rest of the year. She understood me. I did not have to fight for the right to learn in that class. I sat next to the board. This week, the Supreme Court handed the President of the United States the power to gut the Department of Education without congressional approval. Nearly 1,400 federal staff at the Department of Education may be fired, including those tasked with protecting the civil rights and the human dignity of students. The court's decision sets a dangerous precedent as it tells the executive branch that it can effectively dismantle the very agencies that Congress was created without any oversight. Let us remember why the Department of Education exists in the first place. The Department of Education was not a bureaucratic creation. It wasn't an organization just developed just because to create more staff salaries. The Department of Education was a victory secured through the long and hard march of civil rights in this country. It was built to ensure that children in every part of this country, to make sure that they could have a real chance, not to standardize curriculum, but to standardize the worth of children, to guarantee that no matter your background, your race, your ability, your identity, where you lived, or who you prayed to, the federal government would have the back of every student in this country. If this decision stands, the Department of Education's civil rights, the Office of Civil Rights, will be shattered and guttered, which means in this office, created and implemented and investigated when these students in this country were not treated not only with respect, with dignity. That would mean schools would not be potentially required to provide accommodations for students with disabilities. So for every mother fighting for your child with autism, for every parent fighting for your child with a visual or intellectual disability, for every child who is rolling in with your wheelchair every single day, mighty with pride and glory that you too can learn and be integrated, there may not be any federal protections to make sure that you are respected. Rapes and sexual assaults on college campuses may no longer be investigated. When the cities don't investigate those sexual assaults, the federal government, particularly the Office of Civil Rights under the Department of Education, took on that role. Shame on us. National standards for protecting LGBTQ students, because they are students, they are children, will go away. Native students and Black students and Latino students and students navigating poverty and students who have disabilities may no longer have the federal support that they so deserve. This is a betrayal, it is cruel, and it is a deep attack on our children. How will the United States of America compete academically, economically, or morally if the federal government walks away from its most sacred responsibility to guarantee basic fairness in education? We cannot meet the demands of the future by returning to a past where only the privileged are protected. The work of the Department of Education was never about charity. It's always been about justice. And as bell hooks taught us, teaching
Gentlelady's time has expired.
is about liberation. Education is about more than information. It is a practice of freedom, and I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back.